I'm looking to take your calls, get your interaction, find out what's on your mind because that's how I wrote the book. Actually, I started to write the book and I wrote about 6 or 7 chapters and I threw it in the trash and I said, you know what? No one wants to hear me stand on the soapbox to talk about these things. So what I did is I went to the man on the street and the method that I used was to go to the internet, of course, because that's how I could reach the most amount of men at the same time. And I asked the men, what are your hangups about women, dating, relationship, sex? What are your hangups? What are your problems? What are your roadblocks? And what would you like to have answered? How can I help you? So I'm going to use this show as a similar type of vehicle to help you live. So again, that call-in number is 888-909-1050. Another thing that you'd like to do is log on to my brand new fan page at Facebook. The name of that fan page is the Men's Advocate Show with Linda Gross. Now, the reason why you want to save that to your favorites is because that's where I'm going to post what the show is going to be about, who my guests are, what's on the agenda, and you can chime in as to topics that you want to hear about if you have a specific question. If you have a question that you want me to go over anonymously, I absolutely will protect your anonymity. And the way that you can do that is to just use the Facebook private message and write me your question. You can also reach me on my website. My website address is themensadvocate.com, themensadvocate.com. You can reach me on my Twitter, and that is at DT4M. That's at DT4M. And that is short for Dating Tips for Men. It's the number 4. DT4M. And that was the name of the popular column that I was writing on a daily basis when I was in the process of writing the book. So that's at DT4M. So lots of ways to reach me. And then from the website, you'll see all my other social media links. In the very near future, my Kcaa website page will be up and running with all the links. I tried testing it today, but I don't think the links are operational as yet. But I'll get with the guys in the background, and hopefully we can get those all up and running for you by next week. So in the meanwhile, just use my website, and they'll have those links. For if you or your friends are not in the coverage area, and the coverage area is the Inland Empire and parts of Orange County. If you're not in that coverage area, you can call me on the listener line. You can listen by phone at 832-999-1050. That's 832-999-1050. So you can call that line and eavesdrop in. You can call that line from a landline, your desk phone, your cell phone, people who don't even have smartphones. You can dial it from any phone. Okay, so use that number. And then shortly, I will get with my technicians, as I mentioned, and we'll have all the other links that are going to be up and running. And they would be the TuneIn app is going to be a great place for you to listen to my show. You can use that on the go, like listen, in your drive time or listen at the gym. And that's the TuneIn app. And then also the KCAA radio.com. Their website that will have, you can listen to the show in one of two ways on the radio station site, and that is live, which is 4 to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or you can listen to it on demand. So if you're at work or you're not available and you come home at a later point in time, you can listen to the show at that time as well. Okay, so what else can we talk about? This show is made possible by listeners just like you. So I really need your help to have sponsors call into me and subscribe to the show and advertise their product or services. And if you personally are not self-employed, I'm sure you know 6 people who are. So let me give you a couple of ideas on who would be really great sponsors for this show. So ask your boss, and your attorney, your CPA, doctor, dentist, chiropractor, realtor, financial planner, personal trainer, your gym, your favorite restaurant, mechanic, plumber, car dealer, sports shops, sports bars, cigar stores, fitness nutrition centers. You get the idea. Come on. You guys all know 6 people you can talk to about being a sponsor on my show. And guess what? The possible audience for some... Just getting used to all this. The possible audience for our show is 4 million people.
Words can be discombobulating when people twist them to fit concepts that are the exact opposite of what the word actually means. Consider the current debate in Washington over the Trans-Pacific Partnership. This secretly negotiated deal is the exact opposite of a, quote, liberal reform, for it blatantly transfers a major portion of our people's democratic sovereignty into the plutocratic hands of multinational corporate giants. Yet lawmakers and pundits fronting for the corporations have disingenuously dubbed this corporatization of power a, quote, liberalization of global policies. I was born at night, but it wasn't last night. For an example of the reactionary reality of TPP, look at a couple of little favors it does for Big Pharma. First, it extends the number of years that a pharmaceutical giant can keep a patent on its brand-name drugs. Not only does this artificially add more monopoly profits into the coffers of drug makers, but it simultaneously postpones competition from the makers of cheaper generic drugs, an especially dangerous delay for low-income people who are ill. A second provision restricts public regulation of drug prices by any of the 12 countries that are part of the agreement. This is a gross nullification of the people's sovereign right to remedy price gouging by corporate profiteers that hold monopolies on life-saving medicines. Those pushing TPP assert that it's merely a trade agreement and we should not bother our little heads with worry about its details. But it's filled with gotchas like these gifts to Big Pharma. They have nothing to do with trade and everything to do with global elites secretively, deceitfully, and immorally agreeing among themselves to steal power from us. This is Jim Hightower saying, don't just worry about TPP, fight it. Get the lowdown on how at stoptpp.org.
You've heard her on The Poor Man Show talking about mastering women, which just so happens to be the title of her latest book. Now get ready to listen and talk to Linda Gross, the expert on gender differences and the men's advocate. Write this number down to call in to talk to Linda, 888-909-1050. Every Wednesday afternoon, 4 o'clock Pacific, it's the Men's Advocate Show with Linda Gross, 888-909-1050. 4 p.m. weekdays. Let's talk, where men can be men, on KCAA 1050 AM. KCAA is your CNBC News affiliate. We're the station that gets down to business.
An airport security pig finds concealed truffles. It's the Onion Radio News. This is Doyle Redland reporting. Airport Swine Unit Specialist Kevin Hannes couldn't be prouder of his partner, Mr. Snout. The highly trained hog once again uncovered a stash of truffles hidden in luggage bound for Europe. After the pig rooted out nearly 14 ounces of the rare delicacy yesterday, Sergeant Hannes says for Mr. Snout, it's all part of the job.
Any traveler tries to conceal truffles on his person, we're going to be there. And we're going to find them.
The team hopes to one day sniff out a concealed terrorist bomb, though to pull it off, the explosive device would have to be slathered in truffles. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
Thank you for keeping it tuned to KCAA Radio. AM 1050 gives you all the information you need to know and maybe just a little bit more.
Hello and welcome back. You are on the Men's Advocate Show with Linda Gross. I'm your host. This is the show where men can be men. We're going to be talking about subjects that are of interest to men. So someone was asking me, well, a lot of people ask me, how did I go about interviewing 20,000 men? So I had a website, and the men asked me their questions, as I was mentioning earlier, and it took me about 18 months working 18 hours a day, and it didn't really feel like work to me because it was so exciting and so interesting to see their answers and so much fun. So when I got to about 500 answers that were answered in the exact same way to the same question, I thought, wow, this is interesting. This is a coincidence that 500 people are answering that same question the same way. And so I kept going, and then I got to about 1,000, and I got the same results, that I got 1,000 consistent answers to the same question answered the same way. And I thought, holy cow, I'm really onto something here. I've got to write this book. So my research takes me to the age-old question of, is it nature or is it nurture? I think for the past few decades, women have been brainwashing everybody to tell people that it's nurture. Nurture means how you were raised and what your environment is. Nature means it's your biology, that it's predestined, pre-programmed, and it's our hormones and our synaptic functions and our enzymes and our biological reasons as to why we act the way that we act. So my research, the way I interpret it, was it's still mainly nature. I went all the way back to 10,000 years ago to see how the caveman handled dating, sex, and relationships. And guess what, folks? Not that much has changed. So we are predestined to a large degree. I would say probably 90% of the time, things are already preordained. And the reason why that is because there are two major drives. Men are driven by the hormone testosterone to spread their seed far and wide. And the reason why that is because 10,000 years ago, there was a danger that the species would die out. So it was his job to go from camp to camp to camp and keep moving and populate as many women as he could to grow the population. So that's the male drive. That's the purpose of testosterone. The female drive is she's the nester. The female drive is to procreate, is to actually, get pregnant, carry the child, and then have the child, and then raise the child. So the cycle can continue for the next generation. So in my estimation, I think that we stay in our animal psyche, in our animal brain, 90% of the time. So I get a lot of critics who say, well, isn't it your environment, and isn't it, how you were raised, and, aren't we human? Of course we're human, but we don't use that human side of our brain very much. We only use it when we have to. The human side of our brain is our cognitive ability. So I think people are lazy. They just do what naturally, inherently comes easy to them. And that's why, history repeats. So we can override our biological functions, but again, that takes concerted effort to override them. So we'll talk more about that in this show. So anyway, just wanted to bring up a couple of quick topics. I just read in the news that granny panties are making a huge comeback. They are all the rage. What is a granny panty? It's underwear that goes from the women's waistline all the way down to the upper part of the leg, if you will. It's probably the side part. If you just look at the side, it's probably like 6 to 8 inches long, from vertically from the waist down to the top of the leg. So I think these women are bringing about this trend as a protest because they want more control over men. So what do you have to say about that? If you have an opinion one way or the other, because I know that most men, in my research, most men want a G-string. The reason why they like G-strings is because it's very skimpy, it's easy access, you can push it aside, and from a biological standpoint, it's an arrow, and men like arrows. Men are linear. They like the direction arrow that the goods are down this way. So a G-string has that vertical string that points them right to the goodies. So if you have an opinion on this, on granny panties, whether it bothers you or it doesn't bother you, please call me at 888-909-1050. That's 888-909-1050. Okay, so let's go on to the next article. And that article is written by, let me see where this is, Professor David Bainbridge. And he indicates that women, He's saying that, sorry about that. He claims that men value intelligence over bust size when they are searching for a future wife. And I'm wondering whether you agree with his study. Evolutionary biologist Professor David Bainbridge said that the brain suggests a woman is likely to be a responsible mother if she is more intelligent. So they're saying that men are going for intelligence rather than what their body looks like. So he also says that it indicated that if a woman was brought up by intelligent parents, it indicates that she had been well looked after in childhood. Let me comment on this. It's like, first of all, what is this study even for? I don't even think the study is relevant. Do men value intelligence over bust size? And the reason why I don't think it's relevant is because the trend suggests otherwise. The trend is to now not get married. 70% of men aged 20 to 34 are not married. And then the age at which a man first gets married keeps increasing. The age currently when he first gets married is 28 years old. Used to be a decade ago, they were closer to the 20% mark. So, I don't even know why they did this study. And then thirdly, it's my opinion, based on a 2012 study, only 42% of men want children. So, okay, we'll go along with his study. I'll read you the rest of it when we come back, I guess. Oh, no, the break is in 2 minutes or right? No, I guess in 2 minutes. Okay, so I can keep going. All right, so okay, so another one of Professor Bainbridge's findings was that supposed attractive female features such as long legs don't matter to men either. What he says does matter is symmetrical features because it suggests a potential partner is young, healthy, and has stable genes. Okay, so now this is me responding to that. I will concur with that. Men, and they do this on a subconscious level, but men are looking for symmetry because it means that she's fit enough to bear your children. So, if the two legs, or one leg is like off balance, a little bit longer than the other, or the leg is crooked and there isn't that symmetry, at first glance, he might move on compared to a woman who does have straight legs. So I would say I agree with the professor on that issue, that symmetry does matter. Okay.
Hey guys, want to go from cocky and confused to confident in 4 sessions or less? Linda Gross has done the research by interviewing 20,000 men. Reap the benefits. Go to themensadvocate.com/coaching and you'll be on your way.
The Osgood File, sponsored by BASF. Through science and sustainable innovation, BASF enables its customers to meet the current and future needs of society. BASF, we create chemistry. This is Dave Ross on the CBS Radio Network. To understand how a hurricane works, you have to examine its structure, which is tough to do. But what if you could capture one and bring it into a laboratory?
This tank is the largest wind wave facility in the world.
More after this. The Atlantic hurricane season is officially here, and now researchers have a new tool to study it.
The wind is gradually getting stronger and stronger as it's coming up here, and it's ramping up to a Category 5.
CBS's Mark Strassman got a tour of the University of Miami's 75-foot hurricane tank.
What was it like when you cranked it up the first time, full blast?
It was chills.
Brian House is the director of the Rosenstiel School of Marine and Atmospheric Science, home of the hurricane tank, which has a 1,700 horsepower fan, creating winds of 157 miles an hour, blowing across 40,000 gallons of seawater, sending a storm surge crashing onto a miniature beach. Eventually, they plan to build a scale model of the port of Miami, but for now, the waves crash into a model of a little beach house on stilts. The idea is to predict the rise in sea level based on the speed of the wind and the slope of the beach.
It's the heat of the ocean that powers the hurricane. We know that gasoline drives a car, but if you didn't know how much you were pouring into the engine, you wouldn't know how fast it's going to go.
What this is going to help teach you is how the gasoline gets into the engine of the hurricane.
Exactly.
It also looks like it would be an excellent educational tool for anybody thinking about riding out a hurricane in their little beachfront bungalow. Not to mention a much safer way for reporters to cover hurricanes.
I'm standing now on the roof of the tank. Below me, the hurricane has grown louder, more powerful, a raging Category 5.
The Osgood File. Dave Ross on the CBS Radio Network.
Hi, everybody. Ray Lucia here. We just saw the biggest jump in mortgage rates in more than 25 years. So now it's more important than ever to lock in your loan with a professional who has a thorough understanding of this wild mortgage market. That pro, Steve Alidor, the loan financial planner from Rancho Financial. Steve is one of the top 1% of mortgage originators in the entire country. And for years, Steve has worked with me, my family members and friends, and in most cases will close your loan in 30 days or less. Time is critical if you're ready to buy or refi. No one knows where rates will go next. Learn the advantages of working with a direct lender who can fast-track your loan. Steve Alidor can calculate which program is best for you and educate you about all of your options. Call the loan financial planner, Steve Alidor, at 888-563-1070. That's 888-563-1070. Or watch Steve's free home loan webinar at loanfinancialplanner.com. That's loanfinancialplanner.com.
Psst. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Do you know where you are? Well, you've done it now. You're listening to KCAA Loma Linda, your CNBC news station. So expect the unexpected.
You are listening to KCAA Radio 1050 on your AM dial, and you're listening to the Men's Advocate Show with your host, that would be me, Linda Gross. Mark, I hear that we have a caller.
Mark?
Hello, caller. What's your name, please?
Hey, this is Brett from Sacramento, one of your Facebook friends.
Hi, Brett. How are you? Thank you so much for calling.
I'm okay. You're welcome. I was calling about the granny panty topic you mentioned.
Yeah, of course.
My opinion on it is I've researched a little bit of the articles, and my opinion is I think that's just someone trying to make some hype or generate some business or something. I think it's just a flash in the pan. I think Victoria's Secret is a multi-million-dollar type business, and I don't see it as the new wave. I just think it's someone trying to push an agenda and an opinion or some hype. I disagree. I think the sexy underwear is going to be around and is not being replaced.
Well, the sexy underwear is for men. So, that oftentimes women don't dress for men, they dress for women, or they dress for themselves. But according to the article, which you guys can see on my Facebook page, the Men's Advocate Facebook page, it says that that feminists are jumping on board with this granny panty, as a, sort of an ultimate form of power. What do you say to that?
I think, again, it's just a flash in the pan. I think if you look at all the younger women today, the 18 to 21s, they're just like, I call it hotties. They're kind of like the hotties.
Yeah.
And I think women are still going to dress. I mean, look at, all of them have tattoos. Everyone wants to look, sexy, tanning. I just think that, again, it's a flash in the pan. There's just no way you're going to put, like, Victoria's Secrets out of business or anything like that. I just think it's someone's trying to push an agenda. I think the sexy thong is going to stay around forever. The bikinis are going to stay around. You look at fast fashion and what women are doing. It's just such a monster. You're not a monster corporation or industry. You're not going to change it. And
True.
I just felt like I just don't like when people generate an article like they're going to push an agenda, and it seems like the internet news sources just grabbed it. I go, no, it's not going away. I don't think it is.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I was just chuckling at the fact that they're saying that they want to do this as a statement of power. So, another statement of power that they're trying to push is let's bring, arm hair pit growth back. In fact, they're even painting it like, in psychedelic colors like hot pink and hot green as a turnoff, or I don't know what. I mean, those feminists are probably not getting laid anyway. So, what do they care? They're just there to push their agenda on you.
Yeah, I think everyone's just trying to make a statement and rise and get some their 15 minutes, if you will. It's just not going to happen. I think what's hot is hot. It's going to stay hot, and it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, I agree with you. I hope that's the case.
Yep.
So Brett, how can I be of help to you and the male community? I hope you guys let me know what types of topics you want to listen to, or what made you tune in today. Let's put it that way.
Well, I wanted to check out your show, and I think one of the biggest, my personal topics is people always ask me why I'm not married. And how come I'm not married? What's wrong with me? Why am I in my mid-40s? I've been pretty successful my whole life. And what I find is, if I'm dating someone, usually, if you're dating someone attractive, women have this, entitled agenda that they are due. I blame Disney fantasy movies, like princess movies. Most when I meet, they're like, it's my job to set them
Cater
up for
to them.
retirement. I'm sorry?
Cater to them.
Yeah, cater to them, set them up for retirement. I had a beautiful girlfriend, and she felt her mom prepped her. You meet a guy with money, has a good job, good-looking guy, and he is to cater to you and prep you. And to this day, she's 35, and she's with a doctor in Georgia. She's still in that format where she is to be this entitled program that she's entitled. You're not supposed to work. He's supposed to provide for you for the rest of your life, get the money out of him that you can. And that's why I'm not going to marry. I'm not going to raise an adult child. And some men just get married just for the sex. And I go, if you're going to get married just for the sex of it, you're doing it wrong. And I'm not going to marry a woman just for the sex. I'm not going to give away my retirement, my assets, my home. I'm not going to buy her a car. I'm just not going to, it's not that I'm not cheap, but it's not my job to give everything to a woman so she can fulfill this Disney fantasy. It's just never going to happen, especially when I don't have trouble meeting women as it is. And so
I agree with you, and I think it's a fallacy, as you can attest, that men think that they're going to get more sex or regular sex because they get married. Actually, the statistic is the exact opposite. They get less sex.
Yeah,
so that's even more of a reason to not do it. And there's nothing wrong with catering to your woman, but unlike the 60s, when things were normal back then, the woman gave a lot back to the man. The man was the breadwinner. He slayed the dragons outside and came back, but she took care of the home. His shirts were pressed. The laundry was done. The table was set. She was making dinner on the stove. So there was a give and take, which makes sense. Everybody had their roles, but now the lines are blurred, and not only do they want you to take care of them and have them be entitled, but they're not willing to do any of that. So it's like, I'm not doing your housework. Hire a maid for that. I mean, that's their attitude. So
I cannot just see marrying someone and I go to work and I come home and the house is not clean. She's on the couch. I mean, I've had women tell me it's my job to go out and spend them. You make it and I go spend it. And it's like, no, why should I do that? I work so hard for everything I have in my career, and it's just not my job. That's my main beef. Is just I'm not here to support an adult person and raise her. And then after 10 years, the girlfriend I had, she used the term starter husband. She got her starter husband, and they know well after 10 years, if you dump the starter husband, you still get the alimony, and then you move on to the bigger fish. It's just not my makeup to lose all my assets and give it away. So that's my big thing. It's just dating in general, I think, and marriage and the expectations and the historical expectations.
Well, I think men are catching on to what you're saying, and that's why the marriage statistics keep going down every year. So, it's 70% of men, 20 to 34, are not married. I mean, that's a huge number. And we've been doing the census ever since George Washington days, every 10 years. This is the first time in our history where there are more single people than there are married people. So men are revolting, and that's being reflected in the statistics and the numbers. And I agree with you. It's a big problem. I think if I were in your position and I did want to get married, I would look for a woman that has it going on, that she's got a life, she's got a passion or a dream or something that she's going after, and it's not all on you to be, her wallet and her entertainment vehicle. That she's got her own parallel life, and the two of you bring your lives together to enhance each other. Then it's fair. Then it goes back to being balanced, which that's probably the fair way to do it. So, but outside of that, these girls, they're not finishing their education. They're, making $9 an hour at McDonald's, complaining they want $15 an hour. I mean, it's just all crazy. It's so lopsided that I don't blame you guys for not wanting to marry.
And can I add something else, too? I'm not anti-marriage either. I assume I'm going to marry someday, and I will definitely do a prenuptial ahead of time. And people challenge that. Well, you're set up the marriage for fail. I said, no, not at all. Here's the way I see it. If you and I go into something, an agreement, and it doesn't work out, and it just doesn't work out, I want you to walk away unharmed and undamaged just like me. It's not just to protect me, it's to protect you as well. And if you really love me, you would accept that because you're not getting damaged. I don't want you to get damaged either. I don't want to get damaged. And you walk away clean. We both walk away where we're not, it's fair and even. And then they can't counter that argument. Well, I still think it's wrong.
Right.
Well,
they think it's hello. They think it's wrong. Hello.
I'm still here.
Oh, good. They think it's wrong emotionally, but when you get down to it, a marriage license is a contract with the state of California, or if you're in other states, it's whatever your state is. It's a contract. Just if you and I, Brett, were entering, let's say we started a business and we decided to do a corporation, and we're entering a binding contract that we have to register with our state capital, that this is how this corporation works. Well, a prenuptial is the same thing. It goes over and addresses a lot of those same types of issues. So without a prenup, it's like getting the contract. You're being bound to a contract, which, by the way, they don't even the state of California doesn't even tell you what you're being bound to, and you will not even discover what you're being bound to until you get a divorce. In other words, one of the things that you're bound to is you might have to pay alimony for quite a bit of time, especially if you marry for over 10 years. It could be a lifetime proposition. That's not in the fine print when you sign the marriage license. So I absolutely agree with you. I I absolutely believe in prenuptials. I tell men in my book to get one, and they say, why? It doesn't apply to me. I don't have any assets right now. I don't have a house right now. I don't have a company right now. So why should I care? And my answer to that is, I actually do have a chapter in the book about this, of the 8 areas of divorce court. So it's my contention that you should know what those 8 areas are, and you should discuss all of that with your intended prior to popping the question. Because if you can't get on the same page with that, it's not going to work. Stay on with me, Brett, if you'd like, and we'll see you after the break.
Okay, thank you.
Linda Gross is the men's advocate, and she can show you how to get and keep the girl of your dreams. Go to themensadvocate.com and click on the Amazon.com link, or to her new Facebook fan page, The Men's Advocate with Linda Gross, and join. Then click Shop Now. And tune in each and every Wednesday afternoon at 4 for The Men's Advocate Show with Linda Gross on KCAA 1050 AM.
What have I learned so far? Well, I've learned there's no one right path for everyone. I've learned that without my high school diploma, I could only do so much. My options were limited, very limited. I found a free personalized learning program with Learn for Life that has a flexible schedule so I can keep my job while earning my high school diploma. I found a new career with training opportunities that would jumpstart my future. What have I learned so far? I've learned that I could change my life.
Are you 14 to 19 years old and looking for a free high school diploma program with flexible meeting times? This program allows you to keep your job or important family responsibilities while earning your high school diploma. If you've fallen behind on credits or dropped out of school completely, get back on track with free tutoring, a caring faculty, and one-on-one attention. For more information on how to reach your graduation goal, visit learnforlife.org. That's LEARN, the number 4, LIFE.org. Or enroll today by calling 877-360-LEARN. That's 877-360-LEARN.
It's time for the KCAA Community Calendar, brought to you exclusively by Learn for Life, a growing network of public charter schools. The clear mission of Learn for Life is to motivate and mentor students who have dropped out of school and provide them with the personalized education and technical training necessary to advance their lives.
Here's a look at the KCAA Community Calendar. I'm Di Rice. This Saturday, there's a host of events going on in Riverside. You can start off your morning with the Hope Walkathon Preventing Child Abuse. Hope promotes the safety of children through community awareness, education, and victim services. To register, volunteer, or for more info, Google Riverside Hope Walkathon. From 2 to 3, you're invited to enjoy a free synchronized swimming water show at Riverside Aquatics Complex at Riverside Community College. Have some fun at Casino Night at Canyon Crest Town Center. The afternoon starts off with an early dinner, and casino play begins from 6 and goes till 10. Other entertainment includes the Clean Comedy Fest hosted by Eric Blake at the Power of Faith Christian Worship Center. Tickets are $10 and doors open at 6:30. For more information on any of these events, go to riversideca.gov/calendar. And that's a look at the community calendar on KCAA 1050 AM.
The KCAA Community Calendar is presented exclusively by Learn for Life, a growing network of public charter schools where students can complete their education on a part-time basis. To find a resource center nearest you, call 1-877-360-LEARN or visit Learn for Life online at learn4life.org. KCAA, where every day is a great day. KCAA, Loma Linda.
Hello, welcome back. You're listening to the Men's Advocate Show with your host, Linda Gross. That's me. I understand that we have another caller. Hello, caller. Are you there?
I'm here.
What's your name, please?
Hi, Linda. It's Ernie.
Hi, Ernie. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, thank you. I'm enjoying your radio show so far. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on. I appreciate it. How can I help you today?
I have questions concerning marriage. I'm a newlywed, been married, almost 2 years now, but 9 months into the marriage, my wife started losing interest in spending more time with her phone and communicating with friends and not really communicating with me or listening to anything I had to say. She would treat her 31-year-old son more like her husband than she would myself, and every time I would speak to her about it, she would just deny it. And I think the last time I spoke to her, the night before I left, I shared my feelings with her again and told her I didn't like the way she was listening to her son's orders. And next day came, and he starts barking orders to her, and she got all upset and comes to me and tells me she has to leave with her son because he wants to go running around with her. So I told her, we just discussed all this last night. I don't understand why you can't just speak to him. He's your son. He should be listening to you. So I just having a hard time dealing with that, with all those emotions.
I understand. It's really, really common, this syndrome that the women, the mothers, are in love with their sons. And before your time, the reason why this occurred is because her husband at the time, or her partner that she had, the baby daddy that she had the child with, for whatever reason, he couldn't be the type of man that she was looking for. So many women attach to their sons because they figure they can create a man in their mind's eye to their liking. So they can take them from infancy to adulthood. And really, a lot of women are in love with their sons because of it's sort of like a replacement. They're replacing the husband that didn't get the job done with the son. So, it seems like he's quite an adult now. I'm sorry, what did you say? He's 31 years old now?
31 years old. And
Wow.
The thing is, he looks exactly like his dad.
Wow.
Who he's never even met.
Wow.
Because
But
he
he's the
abandoned
better,
him at
he's
birth.
the better, he's the new and improved version of the dad, which is why this is happening.
Right.
I don't
Well,
know.
he's the
That's
dad
it's
himself.
a really
He
hard
is a good
one.
dad.
It's a really hard one to deal with, and it sounds like you've tried to deal with it. And did you say that you left her already?
Yeah, it's going to be a year at the end of July.
But you left her?
Yes.
Yes.
I left her the day after we had another big discussion at bedtime. I told her I didn't appreciate how she treats her son and how she's always jumping when he says to. And when the next day came and she told me I'm leaving with my son, I said, we just had a discussion last night. And she tells me, well, what do you want me to do? He wants me to go with him. So I told her, you know what? I'm done talking to you. You don't listen to anything I have to say. You treat him more like a husband than myself. So I'm leaving. And her response to me was, oh, just like that? You're leaving? I've been having discussions with her for over a year about this.
Wow. Well, you have my blessing and endorsement, and you're in the right. What can I say? You are absolutely in the right. Chalk it up to, an experience, and I would say, file divorce papers ASAP. It's not going to change. She's definitely in love with the son, and I don't know why she took you on, really, to be quite frank with you. She could have gone the rest of her life just courting her son.
Yeah, that's true.
So
She has a lot on her plate because she does have an 18-year-old son who's got cerebral palsy, and he is 100% dependent on her.
Right.
So she has a full plate. So I told her several times, you know what? You were not ready to be a wife. You have too much going on, and you keep taking more and more responsibilities on with your friends and little jobs here and there. You're not ready to be a wife. You don't know how to be a wife.
Mm-hmm. What at some point in time was she a wife to you for a short period, like when you guys first got married, or right away it started?
I would say 8.5 months.
I'm sorry, how many?
About 8.5 months.
Oh,
while I had my own my place and I was receiving all of my income from work, everything was fine. But I've been on workman's comp for years. Once the doctor put me permanent and stationary, my pay went. I lost like 3/4 of my pay, so I couldn't afford to keep my place anymore. So we had to move into her very tiny little one-bedroom place where her son had been staying. but he shouldn't have been there because he was supposed to go off and get his own place. So when we moved in there, it was her 31-year-old son, her 22-year-old daughter, her 18-year-old son, myself, and her. 5 of us. Wow. So a lot of tension there, and he just, like I said, he was the man of the house. And he's very disrespectful towards me.
Wow.
So I was there for 3 months in her little place. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to leave.
You had to bail. I don't blame you. I'm so sorry you had to go through this. And for you and the men that are listening out there, one of the chapters that I'm going to go over in a future show is, how do you know she loves you for you? Meaning that she's not loving you for an ulterior motive. She's not loving you because of your wallet or your status or power or like all these crazy things that women go after, where
Right.
oftentimes the husband is just a figurehead. You know, you're replaceable, you're interchangeable. Like, who wants to be that? I mean,
Exactly.
you want your woman to like look up to you, respect you, and appreciate you for whom you are.
That's
So
right.
obviously you're not getting any of those needs met.
No.
And you know, I don't know how you feel about it. I know it, you know, divorce is never fun, it's never pretty, and it's very hurtful to go through these things emotionally as well as through your pocketbook. But I validate your feelings, Ernie, and I'm right there beside you. I'm really sorry you have this experience, but you have to close that chapter and move on.
And it made it very hard for the 18-year-old because he and I had bonded very closely because I would also take care of him. I would change his diapers, and I would bathe him and brush his teeth and feed him. Whenever
Right.
she was off running around, I was there taking care of her son. And his dad never even did that for him.
Wow. Wow, it sounds like she wasn't, you know, in your corner at all. She wasn't
No.
appreciative of, you know, all your efforts and whom you stand for. I mean, you don't need that. There's plenty of other fish in the sea, and I hope one day soon you'll find a woman that does look up to you, and
I hope so.
you really need that in your life because, you know, it's my belief that a man cannot feel happy without having certain needs met. And
Right.
one of them is respect, and she's disrespecting you by continuing to go to the son.
Exactly.
So I agree with you that it should be a parent-child relationship. You're not there to be their friend. You're not there to be their lover. You as a parent have a job to do, and that is to parent, which means to guide and to teach and to get that child self-sufficient to where he or she can be on their own.
Exactly.
She's not doing that. She's just
No,
looking
she's
for
not. She's enabling him.
another lover.
Yeah. I most definitely need to buy your book.
Thank you.
So
And
best
those
place
of you
to
who
buy
are
your book would
listening,
be
you can buy the
Amazon?
You can buy the book. You can go on my website, themensadvocate.com, themensadvocate.com. It's sold on Amazon, either in the ebook, which you can just download the free Kindle app and download it to your smartphone, tablet, laptop, you know, your reading device in 90 seconds, or you can get the paperback version also at Amazon, and it is also sold in bookstores in West Hollywood, California. So I'll be expanding that distribution as time goes on, I'm sure. But yeah, so you can just go on my website and click on the link there. You can also go on my Facebook page. Please, everybody, sign up to my new fan page, which is the Men's Advocate with the Men's Advocate Show with Linda Gross. If you're just typing it into the URL, it's facebook.com/the Men's Advocate. Great. So anyway, to wrap up, I wanted to let you know that we have a great show coming up next week, so please stay tuned. It's going to be on 6/10 at 4 p.m., and we're having two great people that are on. One person is doing a rally on family law. It's a dad who was denied child custody, and he's trying to change the family laws that are on the books. And then the second person, is my guest, Steve Clark, and he's going to talk about alimony reform. And he's trying to get enough signatures on the ballot. He has from now until November to get about 400,000 signatures to get his petition on the ballot. And I'm helping both of these gentlemen with their efforts. So it's going to be a really juicy show on alimony reform and family law. So I hope you will tune in. You can reach me at themensadvocate.com, or on Twitter, which is DT4M. And please let your friends and family know to sign on as sponsors. I'm looking forward to promoting your product or services. So until next time, we'll see you at themensadvocate.com. Talk to you again soon.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
I'm Chris Maurer, CNBC Business Radio. Stocks are in the plus column on some good news about jobs. Payroll processor ADP says businesses added 201,000 jobs in the private sector in May. The data comes ahead of Friday's more comprehensive monthly non-farm payroll report, also giving stocks a boost. Optimism